Alright guys, the last week of work that we did in the gym was all about control from the back and specifically upgrading our position to the straitjacket. So as you can see here, the first thing that I'm doing is falling with my choking arm on the upward side and my underhook arm on the lower side. I'm using that to control his hand closer to the pinky than to the wrist, both to ensure he can't use his hand to fight back and also because I get better purchase on the hand there. I then get a downward facing C grip on his right arm, forcing it low, and as I do that I switch my left hand from controlling the underhooked arm back to my forearm, creating a figure 4 grip. And I'm also doing this higher on the forearm than I am towards the wrist in order to get more purchase, more bite under his arm, and more squeeze, and as such more ability to turn him to one side as I kick on his hip with my right foot, climbing my left leg up the body, which creates an angle where I can get my right foot into the crook of his elbow, back heeling into his chest or stomach, depending on where his arm is sitting. At this point, I look to take my left foot and cross it over my right foot, trapping his arm out of the way, so he can no longer use this arm to defend as I take control of his left arm and pull it up as if I'm combing his hair and wrapping it behind his head. Here again, I fall to the left-hand side, controlling his left hand, downward C grip, figure 4, turn his body, climbing my legs up, right foot to the crook of the elbow, cross my feet, and then control the other hand, taking it over his head. One more time, falling to the side, control the hand, C grip, figure 4, turn, foot into the elbow, cross the feet, control the other arm, behind the head. From this point, we then looked to move through not just control of that arm behind his head, but how do we submit a person once we've trapped that arm. Now, as you can see here, my right leg is trapping his arm, but it's quite low down underneath the shoulder height, which means that the rear naked choke is still a really good option for me to go for a submission. But what I like to do from here, instead of just hitting the rear naked choke, is once I've controlled that arm, I use that control to move my legs up his body, my leg over his shoulder, and cross them. Either just cross at the ankles or potentially in a full triangle, as you can see here. What this does is as I climb my legs up, I bring my hips up behind that shoulder, which means as I bridge into his shoulder and hold his trapped arm to my chest, I can have a nice shoulder torsion and get the tap. In addition to that initial shoulder torsion, we also have a grip switch that we can do. I can get an overhook and then hold the forearm so it stays behind his neck as I switch my right hand to a kind of almost like a reverse chin-up grip where I'm pinning his arm to my chest, which gives an even tighter connection to the arm and even more pressure when I start bridging my hand into his body. The trick is knowing when to make the shift. If I shift too early, for instance, when I haven't quite pulled it up behind his head, there's a moment in the transition where he has the opportunity to escape his arm, and I lose all of the work that I've done so far, whereas if I already have it behind the back of his head, and then look to switch my arms into position, I keep him pinned while I change position, and then execute my submission. So guys, there's a lot of different options that we have from this position as well. In addition to the shoulder torsion, we can switch to a full triangle. There's a straight armbar available, wrist locks become available, and I didn't go into too much detail into this, but we did during the week. So if you want that extra detail, make sure you let me know in the comments, and we will keep bringing more content to you. Like and subscribe here, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at Queenstown_Jiu-Jitsu or myself at Gentle Arts NZ. Thanks very much, guys. Catch you again soon.